Welcome back to Movie Recaps. Today, I'm going to explain a zombie survival film where a deadly virus destroys an entire city overnight. Spoilers ahead, so watch out and take care. The story begins with Suzuki, a struggling artist trying desperately to make a living through his sketches. He works hard every single day, pouring all his passion into his art, but nobody seems to care. His career goes nowhere, and eventually he's forced to work under another artist just to survive financially. Late one night, Suzuki returns to the apartment where he lives with his friend Takeo. Their relationship has become tense because she's exhausted from constantly supporting him while he fails to improve his life. What starts as a simple argument quickly turns ugly. Takeo finally loses patience and throws Suzuki out of the apartment. With nowhere to go, Suzuki spends the night sitting alone in a park reading a book and trying to clear his thoughts. Nearby, a man lies on the ground in pain, twitching strangely, but Suzuki ignores him and stays out of it. The next morning, he heads to work like normal, unaware that his entire world is about to collapse. Suddenly, breaking news spreads across the city. A mysterious virus has appeared overnight. Anyone infected becomes violent, aggressive, and uncontrollable, attacking and biting other people like wild animals. Authorities confirm several infection cases already. Inside the office, fear slowly spreads among the workers. One of Suzuki's co-workers suddenly feels sick and rushes away. Another employee mentions hearing about an infected person escaping from a nearby house. At the same time, their boss enters the room acting strangely. Everyone asks if he's alright, but nobody notices his eyes slowly turning black. The news warns citizens to stay indoors, so the workers decide to remain in the office overnight. Late that night, Suzuki receives a phone call from Takeo. She apologizes for throwing him out and admits she acted out of anger. While they talk, Suzuki notices military helicopters constantly flying overhead. Something feels wrong, but he tries not to think too much about it. The next morning, Suzuki buys Takeo her favorite cake and rushes back to apologize in person. But when he arrives, nobody answers the door. He keeps knocking and calling her phone, yet there's only silence. Worried, he peeks through the gap in the door and sees Takeo lying motionless on the floor. Suddenly, her body jerks violently. She rises in a disturbing way, twitching unnaturally like something is terribly wrong. Suzuki calls her name without realizing the danger. The moment Takeo hears him, she slowly crawls toward the door like a monster. Then she suddenly attacks. She slams herself against the door so violently that her teeth begin falling out one by one. Despite this, she continues trying to bite Suzuki like a wild animal. Before he can escape, she drags him inside the apartment and attacks him brutally. Desperate to survive, Suzuki grabs her by the neck and smashes her head against a sharp trophy nearby. Instantly, she stops moving. Terrified, Suzuki runs away. While crossing a bridge, he notices wounded civilians stumbling through the streets. Military aircraft fill the skies overhead. That's when Suzuki realizes the horrifying truth. The virus isn't isolated anymore. The entire city is infected. When Suzuki reaches his workplace, he discovers one of his co-workers holding a blood-covered baseball bat. The man admits he was forced to kill another infected employee. Moments later, their boss appears fully transformed into a zombie. Without hesitation, Suzuki's friend kills him immediately. Suzuki begins mentally breaking down as death surrounds him everywhere. His friend explains the terrifying rules of the infection. One bite is enough to turn someone into a monster within minutes. Hearing this, Suzuki panics because Takeo bit his hand earlier. For a moment, he believes he's doomed. Then he realizes Takeo's teeth had already fallen out during the attack, meaning the bite never fully infected him. Relief floods over him, but it doesn't last long. Suddenly, Suzuki's friend begins transforming too. Before losing control completely, he reveals he was bitten on the leg earlier. Knowing what's coming, the man takes a knife and kills himself before turning into a zombie. Completely traumatized, Suzuki runs back outside. The city has descended into total chaos. People scream while running through the streets. Zombies attack anyone they see, biting and tearing victims apart in horrifying scenes. Suzuki desperately searches for help and spots a police officer nearby. But when he approaches, the officer attacks him too. The cop is infected. Suzuki barely escapes and keeps running through the collapsing city. Soon he spots a parked car with a sleeping driver inside. Just as Suzuki approaches, a young woman named Hiromi suddenly appears begging him for help. At the same moment, a zombie notices them and begins walking toward them calmly while talking on a phone. Panicking, Suzuki imagines himself pulling out a gun, but quickly realizes it was only in his head. Then the car owner finally appears. After some desperate pleading, he allows Suzuki and Hiromi inside, and they drive away. As they travel through the city, radio broadcasts confirm the apocalypse has spread everywhere. Citizens are advised to stay hidden indoors, but even that no longer guarantees survival. Moments later, one of the passengers suddenly begins transforming. His veins darken and his behavior changes violently. Within seconds, he attacks the others. Suzuki reacts quickly and kicks the infected man out of the moving car, but the zombie grabs Suzuki's legs and nearly drags him out too. Hiromi saves him by slamming the car door onto the creature's head. Unfortunately, the driver has also been bitten. As he transforms, he loses control of the vehicle completely. The car speeds wildly through the road before crashing violently into another vehicle. Miraculously, Suzuki and Hiromi survive the crash. When they crawl outside, they discover the city completely destroyed. Abandoned cars fill the roads while bodies and infected monsters roam everywhere. A news report reveals there may still be hope. Near Mount Fuji, the government has supposedly created a safe zone for survivors. Determined to survive, Suzuki and Hiromi begin traveling there together. That night, they hide inside an abandoned house and eat whatever food they can find. The next morning, Suzuki notices a suspicious bite mark on Hiromi's neck. Immediately frightened, he points a gun at her. Hiromi quickly explains the bite happened before the outbreak started and insists she isn't dangerous. After a tense moment, Suzuki believes her. They continue their journey toward Mount Fuji together. Eventually, Hiromi stops walking and tells Suzuki to leave her behind because she believes she might transform at any moment. Then her body suddenly begins changing. Terrified, Suzuki runs away. But shortly afterward, he's attacked by another zombie. Just as he's about to die, Hiromi reappears. Now partially transformed, she destroys the attacking zombie with monstrous strength. Suzuki freezes, expecting her to kill him next. Instead, Hiromi gently helps him back to his feet. Some part of her humanity still remains. The two continue traveling together through forests and ruined towns. As days pass, Suzuki grows weaker and more exhausted, but he refuses to abandon Hiromi despite her condition worsening. Eventually, they reach a survival camp near Mount Fuji built on top of a shopping center rooftop. There they meet a group of survivors led by a man named Lura and a nurse named Roma. The survivors explain how they survive by distracting zombies with loud noises while gathering food from the building below. At first, Suzuki and Hiromi are welcomed into the group. However, Suzuki secretly hides the truth about Hiromi being infected because he knows the others would kill her immediately. Later, the group discusses a dangerous mission to recover a huge food supply hidden inside the shopping center. Before leaving, Lura demands Suzuki hand over his shotgun. When Suzuki refuses, Lura threatens to separate him from Hiromi. At the same time, some survivors become suspicious of Hiromi and drag her outside violently. Suzuki rushes after them and points his gun at Lura, demanding Hiromi's release. Suddenly, Hiromi partially transforms again and attacks one of the survivors with incredible strength. Now everyone realizes the truth. Hiromi is infected. Without hesitation, Lura shoots her with a crossbow. Suzuki explodes with rage, but the others overpower him and brutally beat him unconscious. Soon afterward, the group loses trust in Lura because of his cruelty and removes him as leader. Later, Roma secretly helps Suzuki and reveals Hiromi survived the attack. She tells him they need to escape before the others decide to kill them both. Unfortunately, Suzuki has no choice but to join another dangerous supply mission inside the shopping center. While searching for food, the survivors accidentally trigger loud music inside the building. Almost instantly, hordes of zombies swarm the area. Panic erupts as survivors are slaughtered one after another. Then the horrifying truth is revealed. Lura planned everything. He intentionally activated the music to lure zombies toward the others so he could escape alone. Meanwhile, a terrifying new zombie creature appears. Unlike normal zombies, this one can sprint and leap incredible distances. It attacks the rooftop camp and infects nearly everyone remaining there. Suzuki hides inside a locker, completely paralyzed by fear. Then he hears Roma desperately screaming for help through a walkie-talkie. At first, Suzuki remains frozen. But suddenly he realizes that if he keeps hiding, he's no better than dead already. Something inside him changes. He bursts out of the locker and fights his way through the zombies. Using sacks of rice to make zombies slip across the floor, Suzuki finally reaches his shotgun. At the same time, Roma desperately tries protecting the unconscious Hiromi. Suddenly, Lura appears before them fully transformed into a zombie himself. Just before he attacks, Suzuki arrives and blows his head apart with a shotgun blast. The surviving group attempts one final escape together. But they quickly become surrounded by massive hordes of zombies from every direction. Suzuki prepares for death. Then Hiromi suddenly speaks clearly, telling Suzuki she isn't afraid as long as he stays beside her. Those words completely change him. Suzuki fearlessly fights through endless zombies, shooting monster after monster while the remaining survivors battle beside him. Eventually, almost everyone dies. Only Suzuki, Hiromi, and Roma survive. But just when they think it's finally over, the powerful jumping zombie appears again. Suzuki fires at the creature, but the bullets barely affect it. Soon his shotgun runs out of ammo completely. With no other option left, Suzuki swings the shotgun with all his strength and smashes the creature directly in the head. The monster collapses dead. Silence finally fills the battlefield. Surrounded by mountains of zombie corpses, Suzuki realizes they somehow survived the impossible. With only 3 survivors left alive, they steal a car and continue driving toward Mount Fuji, hoping the safe zone still exists. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more movie recaps like this.